Your Florida Railroad Museum Emergency Response Plan. This document is located in the conductor's office. Locomotive cabs, ticket offices must be made available upon request for any proper authority. Provided distance emergency response plans are obsolete, may not be used, and must be destroyed. CT 911, effective August 10, 2010, copyrighted Florida Railroad Museum. 1. Location emergency equipment. 2. Important phone numbers. 3. Physical injury, medical emergency. 4. Grade crossing accident. 5. Fire onboard train. 6. Derailment on collision on track equipment. 7. Other emergency not involving Florida Railroad Museum. 8. Calling 911, what to expect. 9. Grade crossing locations, GPS coordinates. 10. 11. Federal notification requirements. 12. FRA sample reporting forms. All crew members responsible for reviewing, being familiar with the emergency response plan. In the event of an emergency, the conductor will be in charge. Should the conductor be injured or incapacitated, the engineer will assume charge. Another member of the crew shall assume full authority and responsibility for the emergency if both the conductor and engineer are incapacitated. Require federal reporting forms attached to the emergency response plan for reference. Forms available in the conductor's office should need arise to file one. Do not use copy attached to the emergency response plan. Avoid unnecessary radio commercials during an emergency. As every emergency is unique, care for the injured and attention to the personal safety of everyone involved shall be the highest priority. Alright, 1. Location of emergency equipment. Crash equipment. Sledgehammer and saw located in the B end of the half hallway above the window of the New Georgia coach. Shovels, absorbent pad are in the locomotives. Fire extinguisher located in locomotive's passenger car ticket office. Familiarize yourself with specific location in the car and locomotive. First aid supplies. Master first aid kit is located in the conductor's office. Many first aid kits are located in the ticket office, New Georgia coach. Handbrakes. Handbrakes are located in the vestibule of all passenger cars and rear locomotives exceeding the FGC 100. Handbrakes are located in the vestibule of all passenger cars rears excluding the FGC 100. Handbrake on locomotive FGC 100 is located on the fireman side of the cab. Familiarize yourself with the location and types of operation of all handbrakes. Alright, important phone numbers. You have the Manatee County Sheriff of County 911, County Sheriff's Office, Florida Power and Light, Parish Plant, Switchboard Tammy, Florida Railroad Museum, Jen Hugie, President, Jen Miley, CMO, National Transportation Safety Board Response Center. When calling 911 from a mobile phone, use the 10-digit phone number listed. This will ensure the call is received by Manatee County Communications Center. An emergency occurring in Willow requiring emergency service to meet the train in Willow will be handled by Manatee County. Alright, 3. Physical injury or medical emergency. Important. Take charge of the situation. This could be a very confusing situation. Many will offer advice. Many strong and state charge yielding only to emergency response personnel. Request passenger remain seated during the emergency. Exemptions should be made for doctors and other individuals able to render medical assistance. Assess to the EMS. Assess to the need of the EMS. Assign a crew member to take task calling 911 when using mobile phone. Dial 941-748-22222 to reach Manatee County 911. The crew member should also use the direct emergency response vehicles. Be sure to protect the scene. When 911 dispatcher answers, identify yourself by the name and advise you're calling from the Florida Railroad Museum and Parish. Briefly explain the emergency. See pages 11 for the instruction. What to do expecting when calling 911. If the injury and medical emergency occurs en route, tell the 911 dispatcher their EMS should meet the train. The Florida Railroad Museum shall be solely at need to determine the meeting of the location. Apply first aid. If 911 has been contacted, follow all instructions given to try to make an injured subject as comfortable, reassured as possible. And if the EMS responding transport injured person to the location agreed upon, make sure it's safe to move the train. If possible, move the patient away from further dangers or passengers. If the patient cannot be moved, assure the safe working area privacy of her EMS of moving passengers, onlookers away. Also provide space for safe removal of the patient from the train. If the train is moved to a road crossing to meet the EMS, do not block the crossing with the train. EMS may respond from either direction. If the response person is injured with the FRA crew member, the conductor, if a person injured is an FRM crew member, the conductor must fill out with the FRA Form 61-8098, Railroad Employee Injury Illness Record. This form should be attached to the conductor's report. A copy of the form is attached to the emergency response plan. Alright, 4. Grade crossing accident. Important. Take charge of the situation. This could be a very confusing situation. Many will offer advice. Be strong. Stay charged. Yield only to emergency response personnel. Request passenger remain seated during emergency. Exemptions should be made for doctors and other individuals who render medical assistance. Do not move. After the grade crossing collision is impaired with the train, remain where it stopped until the situation has been investigated by local authorities. 4.1. Assign crew member to task of calling 911 when using mobile phone 941-748-2222. The reach Manatee County 911. The crew member should also direct emergency response vehicles. Be sure to protect the scene. Where the 911 dispatcher answers, identify yourself with the name and advise you're calling with the Florida Railroad Museum in Parish. Tell the 911 dispatcher we're in an emergency. Do not move the train under any circumstances unless ordered by the police or fire department. Briefly explain the emergency, include the number of the people's injury, extent of the injuries, advise the 911 dispatcher if there's a fire potential threat of fire such as leaking fuel from the train or vehicle. See page 11 instruction what to expect when calling 911. Tell 911 dispatcher who is in charge of the train how to contact them when they arrive. If there's a fire more even at least 200 feet upwind of the fire, assign crew member to stay on them. If possible, fire extinguishers to put out the fire. See section 5, page 7 for handling onboard fires. 4.3. Follow all directions given by 911. Try to make the injured as comfortable as possible. 4.4. Apply first aid. Follow instructions by giving the 911. 4.5. If the vehicle has struck the side of a locomotive or passenger car, turn off all electric equipment and the affected equipment, shut down the generator or the engine. Check the fuel leaks for the equipment and vehicles. Assessing any structural damage train, do not move the train until the vehicle has removed. The local authorities complete with the investigation, relieve the train unless requested by emergency responders. Write down the name, the address, the phone numbers of any witnesses, passengers that can be witnessed and saw or heard anything, photograph the scene. Cooperate. Local authorities investigate the incident. All operating crew members may be required to submit alcohol drug testing per FRA regulation. If the accident involves 2 or more fatalities, serious injuries to crew members, call National Transportation Safety Board within 2 hours and file a report and crew instructed on page 13. 4.10. Once the train has released from the scene, do not move until running gear on all engines and equipment has been examined and proper mechanical authority. Equipment must be on track and safe operation condition. Check for cracks, brakes, and wheels, flanges, axles, truck frames, etc. Perform brake tests. Visually inspect the brake gear, operating all equipment to ensure brake equipment is properly functioning. 4.11. The conductor must file with the FRA Form 61-8057. Highway rail grade crossing accident incident report. The form should be attached for the conductor's report. 4.12. Photograph the scene. 5. Fire on board the train. Important. Take charge of the situation. This could be a very confusing situation. Many will offer advice. Be strong. Stay in charge. Yield only to emergency response personnel. Stop the train. Move the passengers away from the fire into adjacent unaffected cars 200 feet upwind from the fire, whichever is safer. Shut off all electrical equipment in affected cars. Shut down generation if equipped on affected cars. If the locomotive is involved, shut down the locomotive and trip the emergency fuel cutoffs. If possible, use fire extinguishers to put out the fire. If the fire is not easily extinguished, assign the crew member to task of calling 911 using mobile phone. Dial 941-748-2222 to reach Manatee County 911. The crew member must also direct the emergency response vehicles. Be sure to protect the scene. Where 911 answers, identify your name and advise whether you're calling with the Florida Railroad Museum Parish. Briefly explaining the emergency. See page 11 of the instruction what to expect from calling 911. 911 dispatcher, fire is on board a train. Location of the train. Do not move the train. Follow instructions given to 911. If the generator or other electrical is involved in the fire, do not restart the equipment. If the locomotive is involved, do not restart the locomotive. Cooperate with local authorities, investigate accident, call the National Transportation Safety Board within 2 hours of the file report instruction, page 13. File 11, the conductor must fill out with the FRA Form 6180 54 Rail Equipment Accident Incident Report. If any crew members are injured, FRA Form 6180 98 Railroad Employee Injury and Illness Record must also be filed out. These forms may be detached with the conductor's report. Photograph the scene. 6. Derailment, collision with an on-track equipment with other on-track equipment. Important. Take charge of the situation. This could be a very confusing situation. Many others advise. Be strong, stay in charge. Yield only the emergency response personnel. Stop the train. Assess the severity of the collision. Is that derailment? 6.3. If the injuries or fire possibility, fire sign on the crew member the task of calling 911 and use the mobile phone 941-748. 2222 to reach Manatee County 911. The crew member must also direct the emergency response vehicle. Be sure to protect the scene. When 911 dispatchers ends to confirm you're speaking Manatee 911 County 911. Identify yourself with the name and advise you're calling from Florida Railroad Museum in Paris. Briefly explain the emergency, including the number of people involved in injury, extent of the injuries. Advise the 911 dispatcher if there is a fire potential threat of fire such as leaking fuel from the train or vehicle. See page 11 instruction to what to expect with 911. If the fire, tell 911 dispatcher where the fire is on board with the train. Locating the train, do not move the train. Follow all instructions by giving the middle 911. Move passengers to the car and not affected involved in the derailment. 6.5. Shut off all the electrical equipment of the rail cars. 6. Shut down generators, derailed cars. 6.7. Assessing structural damage of the train. Do not move the train until the running gear go, and all engines, cars involved with the derailment have been inspected, found to be on the track. Safe operation conditions. Test air brakes having cut off angle cock to affected equipment. If possible, moving passengers to involve with uncoupled affected cars from derailed portion of the train. Return to Parish. If the derailed equipment is not easily re-railed, notify Florida Power and Light for the derailment that the track may be blocked an extended period of time. 6.10. Cooperate with local authorities investigating the incident. All operating crew may be required to submit alcohol drug testing per FRA regulation. If the accident involves 2 or more fatalities, serious injuries to the crew, passengers, extent damage exceeding $150,000, call the National Transportation Safety Board with 2 hours of file as report instruction on page 13. Conductor must fill out FRA Form 6180 54 Rail Equipment Accident Incident Report if the crew members are injured. FRA Form 6180 98 Railroad Employee Injury Illness Record must also be filled out. These forms should be attached to the conductor's report. 6.13. Photograph the scene. Alright, 7. Other emergencies not involving FRM. During the course of the operation, FRM crew members may witness an accident, emergency, or a fire. Responsibility of the members of the community crew members will be reported to the proper authorities in any situation which may require law enforcement, emergency medical service, fire department response. Call 911 using the phone, dial 941-748-2222, reach Manatee County 911. When 911 dispatcher answers, identify yourself with the name and advise that you're calling from the Florida Railroad Museum Parish. Briefly explain the type of location situation. See page 11 instruction what to expect with 911. Follow all instructions given by 911. Stop and render aid if possible. If the incident occurred with the Florida Power Light property, notified FPL. Florida Power and Light property, notified Florida Power and Light. Alright, calling 911, what to expect. When 911 incident, the dispatcher answers needed to know how as much information as possible, who, what, when, where, and why, and how. The who, 911 needs to know who you are, who needs help, who is affected with an incident. My name is David Crane of the Florida Railroad Museum in Paris. We have a passenger who has fallen down. What has happened, and is there a fire, crime, or health and emergency? David Rowe was stepping over the platform, fell. It looks like he cut his forehead and abrasions on his hand. He says his legs hurt, and this is some bleeding, but it's not severe. Where is the incident happening? Exact address of the museum ground. Parish is located at 12210 83rd Street East, Parish, Florida 34219. Fall occurred at 12210 83rd Street East. We are located far beyond. We are located in the field behind the old post office in US 301. There will be a train standing at the station. The subject is right out of the station where the EMS enters field. When did the incident begin and when did you notify it? David Rowe just fell a minute ago. He was getting off the train. How do you know the incident happened? David said he became dizzy and lost his balance. Alright, 9 grade crossing locations for Willows. 10 GPS coordinates at Willows. 11 federal notification requirements. Title 49 CFR Part 840. Rules retaining notification railroad incidents. 841 applicability. 842 definition. 843 notification railroad incidents. 844 information to be given in the notification. 845 inspection, examination, testing, physical evidence. 846 physical board investigation. Authority Section 304A1C Independent Safety Board Act 1974 as amended by the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 1903. 841 applicability. This part contains the Safety Board accident notification requirements and its authority, inspection, examination, testing, physical evidence, describe the exercise of the Safety Board prior to recording activities, investigation, railroad incidents. These titles 47, Federal Register, 4948, November 1st, 1982. 840.2, definition to give the part with the following words and phrases defined as testing. Alright, 840.2 definitions. Used in this part, following word and phrases are defined as followed. A railroad means a system of surface transportation of personal property over rails. It includes but not limited to line haul, freight, passenger carrying loads, rapid transit, commuter scenic, subway, and elevated railways. Accident many means any collision, derailment, explosion involving the railroad trains, locomotives, and cars. Any other loss causing event involving the operation of such railroad equipment, the result in fatality of the passenger or employee, or an emergency evacuation of a person. Joint operation means rail operation conducted with trucks, rail operation conducted on a track used jointly or in common by 2 or more railroad subjects in this part, or operation of train, locomotive, or car by one railroad over the track of another railroad. Fatality means the death of the person either at the time in accordance or occurrence within 24 hours thereafter. 84.3 Notification Railroad Incident. The operator railroad should notify the board and telephone National Response Center at telephone number 800-424-0201 earliest practical time after the occurrence of any one of the following railroad accidents. No later than 2 hours after the accident which results in a passenger employee fatality, serious injury to 2 or more crew members, or passenger requiring admission to a hospital. The evacuation of a passenger train, the damage of a tanker car containing releasing result or hazardous material involving evacuation of the general public, a fatality at a grade crossing. No later than 4 hours after the accident, which does not involve any circumstances enumerated in paragraph A, the section which results in damage based on preliminary gross estimate of $150,000 or more for repairs, the current replacement cost of the railroad, non-railroad property, or damage of $25,000 more to the passenger train and railroad, non-railroad property. Accidents involving joint operation must be reported by railroad control track directors' movements for the train where accidents occurred. When accidents in the notification which notification is required, paragraph A and B of this section occurs remote area. The time limit set forth in paragraph shall commence from the time of the first railroad employee was not at the accident site at the time of its occurrence have received notice thereof. 844 information given in notification. Notification required in 840.3 shall include the following information: name and title, person reporting, name of the railroad, location, accident related to the nearest city, time and the date of the accident, description of accident, casualty, fatalities, injuries, property damage, estimate, name and the telephone number of the person. Additional information may be detained. 840.5 Inspection, examination, testing physical evidence. An employee of the safety board, upon representing that appropriate credential and authorized to enter on any property where a transportation accident has occurred, records for any such accident located and doing all things necessary for the proper investigation, including examination of the testing of any vehicle, rolling stock, track, or any other part of any such item when such examination or testing is determined to be required for the purpose of such investigation. An examination and testing should be conducted in such a manner that it is not to interfere with or obstruct the uncertainty with the transportation service provided with the owner and operator of such vehicle. Rolling stock tracks should be conducted in such a manner that as to preserve the maximum extent feasible any evidence relating to the transportation accident consistent with the needs for the investigation with the cooperation of such owner and operator. The employee may inspect with reasonable times records, files, papers, process control, and facilities relevant to investigation of such accident. Inspection should be commenced, completed promptly with the result of such inspection, and any examination test made available to the parties. 840.6 Priority of Board Investigation. Any investigation action conducted by the Safety Board shall have priority over all other investigations such action conducted by other federal agency. Safety Board shall provide appropriate participation from federal agencies in such investigation, except that such agencies may participate in Safety Board determination of probable cause of the accident. Nothing in this section impairs the authority of the other federal agencies to conduct investigations of an accident under applicable provisions of the law to obtain information directly from the parties involved. Witness to the Transportation Accident Safe Board. Other federal agencies shall ensure appropriate information obtained and developed in the course of their investigation exchanged in a timely manner. Alright, 12.0. FRA sample reporting form. The following paragraphs contains the example of the required FRA reporting form 618054, Railroad Accident Incident Report 618057, Highway Grail Grade Crossing Accident Incident Report 618097, Initial Railway Equipment Accident Incident Report 608098, Railroad Employee Injury and Illness Record. These forms are located in the conductor's office. Required to submit one of these forms. Do not use the example copies attached to the emergency response plan. Alright, and then you have your Rail Equipment Accident Report. Name reporting railroad, alphabetic code, railroad accident number, name of the other railroad involved in the train accident, alphabetic code, railroad accident number, name of the track maintenance, alphabetic code, railroad accident number, use.AR grade crossing accident, identification number, date of accident, month, date, and year, time of accident, AM or PM, type of accident, and code, carrying cars, carrying hazmat cars, damaged your rail cars, releasing hazmat people evacuated to the 12th Division, near city, town, milepost, state abbreviation code, country, temperature, visibility, dawn, dusk, dark, code, weather, clear, cloudy, rain, fog, sleet, snow, type of the track, main yard, sliding, industry, track name, FRA track code, annual track density, timetable, north, south, east, west code, types of equipment consisting freight train, passenger train, commuter work train, single car, cut of cars, yard switching, light, locomotive, main inspection code, main inspection car card, work was equivalent intended train number symbol, 20 speed recorded estimated 29 trailing tons, gross tons, excluding power units, method of operation, codes. Principal car unit first involved causing in mad machine initial number and position train loaded. Railroad employees use the drug and alcohol impairment either because of the reporting was of the consistent of transporting passengers. Locomotive unit with the head end mid train manual removed mirror end manual and remote. Total train, total derailment cars, total equipment consistent of total derailed freight car passenger loaded for empty freight and passenger and caboose. Equipment damage to the cassette of the track signal, way, structure damage, primary cause code, contributing cause code, number of crew members, engine operators, firemen, conductors, brakemen, casualties, fatal, non-fatal, railroad employees, train passengers, other engineer operators, conductors, hours and minutes, special study block, narrative description, emergency response plan. Name and reporting railroad, alphabetic code, accident number, name of the other railroad, train accident, and alphabetic code, accident number, name of the responsible tracks man, alphabetic code, national number, US.AR, grade crossing navigation number, data incident, the time of the incident, the nearest railroad situation, division, country, state and abbreviation code, city, the highway name, and the number of the public and private. Type of users and type 13 type, 14 vehicle speed, 15 direction, 16 position, 17 equipment, 18 position of cars and units range, 19 circumstances, 20 highway user rail equipment involved with the impact with transportation, hazard material, 20B what were the hazard materials released, highway user, railway equipment, both or neither. State the name of the quantity of the hazardous release, temperature, visibility, dawn, dust, air, dust, dark, weather, clear, cloudy, rain, fog, sleet, snow. Code, type of equipment, track type, use of the equipment involved, FRA class, and 28, number of the locomotive, number of the cars, consist, speed, time, table direction, type of crossing warnings, signal crossing, whistle, ban, yes, no, unknown. Location of the warning, both side vehicle approach, opposite side of the approach, crossing warning indicated with a highway signal, crossing illuminated streets allowed with special lights, driver's age, driver gender, male, female, driver behind the front of the train struck with a by a second train, driver past standing highway, vehicle track, obscured by casualties, highway crossing railroad employees, passenger trains killed and injured. Drivers was killed, injured, disinjured. Was driver in the vehicle, highway vehicle property damage, total number of the highway grade crossing, total number of people on the train, rail equipment accident incident report being filed. Special study block, narrative description, type of the name, substitute, and date. Initial rail equipment accident incident report, name of the accident incident, month, year, month, date, time accidents, number AM, PM, name of the railroad incident, number of the other railroad incident, number, railroad responsible track maintenance incident, number, type of the incident, derail, collision, obstruction, other, number of hazard car damaged or derailed, number of hazard cars releasing product, number 12, division, nearest town, city, town, state, a mile post to specifically 17 speed, actual estimated train job number, type of the equipment, freight, passenger yard, switching, etc. Type of the track, main yard, siding, industry, total locomotive units in train, total locomotives derailed, total cars and equipment consist, total cars derailed, 25 equipment damage in dollars, track signal weight, structural damage in dollars, 27 primary cause, contributing cause, 29 personal injury or killed, work on duty, employees on duty, no passenger on the train, non-trespassing, railroad property, trespassers, engineer, injured, killed, work on duty, contractors, other the work on duty, volunteer, other non-trespassers, other railroad property, injured, killed. 30, narrative description, what is the accident incident report, FRA name, railroad official, signature, telephone number, and date. The emergency response plan, railroad injury or illness record, railroad case incident, number of employee information for the last, first name, middle date, sex, social security date, hired home address, street address, city, 10 state, 11 zip, 12 home phone number, established facility, employee, normal rewards, name of the facility, street address, 15 city, 16 state, 17 zip, 18 job title, 19 department sign, 2 accident incident, exposure description, location where the accident exposure occurred, 20 specific site, 21 cities, 22 county, 23 state, 24 zip, 25 is it on the premises if it's yes or no, 26 date of occurrence, 27 the time shift begins A and B, time of occurrence A and B, AM PM where was person on duty, yes or no. Company notification, date of an employee notified company with a personal condition, time of the employee notified company personnel condition, AM PM personal notified, description of general activity of the person engaged in the illness or injury. 34, direct all factors associated with the case of the predicate and understand how it has occurred, include the discussion over the sequence of the events leading up to the tools, machinery, profit, the material, environmental conditions involved. 35, describe detailed injury condition that a person sustained and include the decision of the body's parts effective of the recurrence of the date of the last occurrence. Identify all person and organization you evaluate the treat condition, including difficulty provider addresses. 37, derive all procedure and medication therapy is recommended with the treatment of the condition. Check any of the following consequences result of the injury or conditions. If any of the above occurrence of the injury condition, always report the FRA Form 618055A. If you believe the case does not meet reporting criteria, you give a brief explanation based on the description. The base description would cause the report yes or no. 40, has the employee provided the opportunity to review his or her file, yes or no. Preparer's name, preparer's title, 43, telephone number, and 44, date. And that was the emergency response plan for CT 911 Florida Railroad Museum testing.